As my aviation career is underway, gaining exposure and experiences is of the utmost importance. During the spring of 2025, I had an incredible opportunity to complete an internship at Tulsa International Airport. From snow operations, the painting columns, to inaugural flight celebrations, this internship covered the full scope of what the airport landscape looks like. Today, we'll discuss my experience with Tulsa's rotational internship. Let's get started, everybody. Welcome everybody to the full analysis for the Tulsa Rotational Internship. First and foremost, I want to give a huge thank you to the Tulsa Airport Improvement Trust for giving me this opportunity and letting me share it with all of you. This was such an incredible experience, and I certainly think it's of the utmost importance to show all of you what the possibilities are, especially if you're trying to get into the aviation landscape. There's so many different career facets out there, so I definitely want to give them the utmost credit here, as this was once again such an incredible opportunity. So today, I have a full presentation here for you all, as I'm going to give you the full analysis. There's so much to go into from the different departments at the airport, the outcomes that were a result of this internship, and overall what I learned. So yeah, it's such an incredible opportunity. Again, this was from January to May, the spring semester here, and as you can see here on the cover photo, we have a bunch of really cool airplane shots. I do want to credit them very much, as this was during my internship when I got these photos, so do keep that in mind, as this is a really just surreal opportunity. Obviously, as you all know, and as we're going to get into here with this self-introduction here, I'm a senior at Oklahoma State University studying aviation management. You all know that I've been interested in aviation for such a long time. I've been producing aviation content on YouTube, Instagram, and now Facebook with my handle CM Aviation for several years now. You all know that I have around 35,000 followers on Instagram, 13,000 followers on Facebook, and over around 12,000 subscribers here on YouTube. So this has been such a great opportunity over the last many years to, really gain my footprint and start to study aviation in a variety of ways, not just with the die-cast model aircraft you see behind me or plane spotting, but furthermore into aviation career concepts like network planning, airport operations, and so forth. So the reason that I decided to pursue this internship is simply the fact of obviously not only gaining exposure to airport operations and other facets of aviation, but on top of that, as you all know, Tulsa International Airport is my home airport. And with that being said, I had been studying the operations of the airport for quite some time, from the airline flights to all the general aviation aircraft coming through to the Air National Guard. There's so many different aspects of it that I've become familiar with. So I've done all that I can from the inside looking out, from the outside looking in, and now I wanted to get that exposure from the inside looking out, and I'm so fortunate that I had this opportunity to do just that. So it's so incredible, and there's so many various aspects to it. So we'll just go ahead and get started with it all here as we speak. So I really want to start from the beginning, because speaking of that inspiration and that motivation, where that comes from here, you can see several pictures from many years ago when I was really young. You can see me here on the right of this picture, and then here in the middle of this picture. So here you have an American 737 in the chrome livery, and it's just so cool to think, looking out that window, what my goal was and what my desires were. Obviously I did not have it figured out. In fact, I have a Thomas the Train backpack on here, so obviously there was plenty of different interests I had at that time. But obviously, as you can tell, I was very interested and was so excited for any opportunity in aviation. Here's another really great shot here at the Southwest gates at TUL. So all of it started here at Tulsa International, and that has now progressed to shots like this. On the left there, you can see that was my very first time spotting with my brand new DSLR camera. I was so excited. It was a very cold day in January, as you can see, but that determination, that dedication, that fire, whatever word you want to use to describe my excitement, certainly was there. And then as you can see there on the right, there's my completion there of the internship. So it's certainly quite a contrast from going from the plane spotting to the actual career aspect, as we're going to talk about throughout today's presentation. And you can also see, as you all know, I have the Tulsa Model Airport, and I just thought it's really cool that it's all progressed into, a full display, a full encompassing of the entire landscape. So it's so much fun, and it's so cool to think about all the possibilities of what's to come. That being said, let's go ahead and talk about the purpose of this internship. So my main goals and objectives here included the following: to gain a comprehensive understanding of all departments at an airport. As you all know, airports function in many ways, and as a result, you have to have different departments to work with that. So that can include operations, that can include engineering, that can include real estate. It just depends on the airport setup and how it's structured and how large the airport is. Tulsa International Airport employs the Tulsa Airport Improvement Trust employs about 150 people, and that covers both the International Airport and also the Riverside Airport. So it's impressive to see that they have quite an awesome landscape there of employees, that 150 can cover such a large operation operation for that size, so that's certainly helpful. And it was really cool to see how all these different departments collaborated together to, function. Develop teamwork, collaboration, application skills. I've really been able to work on the first two through college, but really gaining that application skill was certainly of the utmost importance to me. Obviously the goal of an internship is to take what you've learned and apply that in a real world setting, and there's no doubt that this internship did exactly that, and learn about academic subjects through the process as well, such as airline relations, airfield operations, marketing strategies, and so many more. And I certainly learned many more than just beyond that. I can, name so many examples like tenant construction applications, or, the actual, once again, snow operations or whatever it is, or building maintenance is a really good example of, it's not the most exciting when you think of the airport. It's not like, a new flight or whatever, but you have to be so mindful of all the departments coming together to, cover the entire scope, whether that's a sliding door. And then let's see, what's some other good examples? Painting columns, as I mentioned earlier in the video. So many various facets here that, make the airport run, and the legal side of it too. There's a full legal department, and you have to have all the contracts situated. So very important to think about all that in its entire scope. So that being said, let's go ahead and talk about the overall results of the internship. So during the internship, I learned to adapt to different personalities. When you have 150 people and working with them in that large of an environment, there's going to be so many different personality types, and everybody there was so friendly and so nice. But obviously, it just depends on the department and what's going on, and how you're able to navigate that. So that was certainly very exciting to be able to adapt to those different personalities. And I also learned how to navigate firsthand airport situations, whether that's snow operations or fixing a sliding door. So many different just exposure to opportunities, and in the moment, what are you going to do to navigate whatever that situation is. And I was given a variety of projects through this internship, and there's certainly so many that I didn't expect, like doing a quote for a lower level restroom remodel. That was certainly really fun, and that's more of an engineering concept, but all of it applies to the airport, right? So you got to be able to be versatile, you got to be flexible, and be able to adapt in those situations and navigate them for sure. And I also completed many projects, as I just hinted at, so a long list of really cool ones, and it was really great to contribute in those ways to continue to move forward, whether that was doing research for the airport, with different aircraft types and so forth, or navigating back to another good one would be a flow chart for, an application or whatever it was. There were so many during the process that were really educational and really, applicable, and that really applied those application skills that I mentioned earlier. And I also built many pivotal industry connections here. It wasn't just the Tulsa Airport Improvement Trust, it was the TSA, it was our various tenants at the airport. It was so cool to see that firsthand experience of interacting with various aviation companies. Don't forget about the airlines as well, big part of it too, and even the Air National Guard. There was so much coordination that goes into that. Let's not forget about our friends over at the FAA as well. And obviously, when you have so many infrastructure projects going on, as we'll talk about here later in the video, you're going to have all these various construction projects. So contractors are super important as well. And also, I really transitioned from that av geek perspective, the aviation enthusiast that just wants to go take pictures of planes and go, study the entire landscape, to that professional perspective. There's much more to it than just, the planes actually operating. You got to have the staff there, human resources, for example. That's a huge part of the day-to-day operations of an airport. The police, absolutely vital and essential to keeping you at a safe place, you name it. And this picture here has a really good example of what it looks like to be working on the jet bridge. So, there's so many pieces to the puzzle, and it's so much more extensive than just, just planes flying around. And we obviously knew that going into it, but you really get that aviation professional perspective anytime you shadow such a operation like this. And then all of these various three categories came together: the labor aspect, the coordination aspect, and the dedication aspect. So obviously you got to start back to the manual work, whether that's IT or building maintenance, you name it. There's so much of a labor aspect to it, and then coordinating on that. So obviously you have so many different managers and actual coordinators themselves that come together, whether it's through contracts or through, I'm trying to think of all the different departments off the top of my head, so sometimes it takes a moment to think of them, or customer service. Obviously coordinating all that is extremely important. And obviously dedication, you have to be dedicated to what you do. You got to be, fully bought in and ready to make a difference every day. So all those coming together is what makes a difference at an airport like this. So it's certainly super cool to see all that come together throughout the entire process. So at Tulsa International Airport, the mission statement is to provide a safe, efficient, self-supporting airport system to the citizens of Tulsa's metropolitan area in the surrounding region. Safe, efficient, self-supporting. I think those are all super important words to utilize there. You obviously want to make it a safe place for everybody, no matter what the operation is, whether that's flying an aircraft or cruising through the concourse. You definitely want it to be efficient as well, and obviously, being a easy place to transit through and being able to move forward on a day-to-day with effective operations there. And that it starts with efficiency, and then self-supporting. Every employee is able to take care of themselves, and that goes for the airport too. You can take care of yourself at the airport and navigate to whatever you need to. So that's obviously a huge mission for everybody in the area. The airport was actually a municipal airport and opened on July 3rd, 1928. So the 100-year anniversary is coming up very soon in 2028. Very exciting. And it's developed into a very well-rounded small hub airport with 5 passenger airlines, the 3 cargo carriers, the 3 FBOs, and also the Oklahoma Air National Guard. So it's really cool to see the variety of aviation that's at the airport. There's obviously American Airlines is a global maintenance base there. There's also various other entities too. You have like companies and various tenants like L3 Harris, and then you obviously have FBOs as well and so forth. So it is cool to see all that mentioned throughout the entire process. And then, there were several methods, skills, and technologies used during this internship. All the Microsoft products were definitely of the utmost importance for data entry and data analysis. And obviously there's various online databases, and then all that's very important to be able to do that. But obviously you have to have the critical thinking skills, the problem solving skills, and the brainstorming to be able to apply that. What does this mean? How are we going to solve what we're doing here, whether it's a financial related situation or another aspect of it? And obviously there's so many different methods to accomplish the same goal, whether you do it through a different Microsoft program or if you just take it to hand and paper and do some analysis on whatever it is. So definitely have to keep that in mind as we move through the entire scope. So that's definitely important. And then continuing with the overall results, intended consequences like enhancing my time management skills, improving my communication skills, and gaining a comprehensive understanding of airport operations were all met. I was really happy to do all of those. Obviously, the first 2 I have built over time, but getting that in the application setting was a very prominent goal. So I was very happy with that. And then, the understanding of the airport, it's so cool to see like engineering, coordinate with building maintenance. That's not what you would expect, when you're replacing a sliding door, but when it begins, engineering has that information of when it was installed. So obviously all that comes together. But there were some unintended consequences that I was super happy about, like gaining knowledge and skills that can be applied to all aspects of life, whether that's changing air fresheners or wiring an Ethernet cord. These were definitely skills that I wasn't expecting, but it was really cool through the rotational aspect to gain these. And that goes back to the labor aspect, that goes back to the application. Application was really big through this entire process, and I'm so glad to learn various skills, because obviously now knowing how to wire an Ethernet cord might be helpful at some point for me. So that was a really cool unintended consequence. And then gaining those personal relationships, it was so cool to have essentially what was like a family there, and I certainly will be excited to carry that for the rest of my life and have those connections forever and always. So that is certainly a really cool unintended consequence that I wasn't expecting. I also have several really cool pictures here to show. First and foremost, though, I want to start with the basics. Obviously, what I'm about to show, was what we perceive to be really exciting, especially from the AvGeek perspective, but you can't take for granted, various labor aspects, whether that's changing battery circuits or like you see here, painting columns. This was definitely not on my bingo card, but it's super important to have the coordination to be able to do this, and I'm so glad that TUL, makes it a priority, and Riverside and all the various aspects integrated to have painting columns as a part of it. So that's super cool. But also, as you can see here, sorry about that, you can see other various aspects that are super cool. You see some infrastructure projects here, like the new entry sign. You have the new air traffic control tower, which is making substantial progress, as you can see, in the new vestibules, to fun setups like spring break there for Allegiant Air and their ticket counter. You obviously have a really cool tour going on there in the top middle, and also Southwest's inaugural flight to Nashville. So no shortage of fun, and it was a really cool run of the mill regarding all of what I was able to learn during my time here. And also some really cool plane spotting pictures. Once again, I want to make it of the utmost importance that These photos were took with permission, obviously, and shared with permission that I took these while I was an intern there, so keep that in mind. But obviously, you got some American diversions there on the left, and then you got all of our major carriers: American, Allegiant, Southwest, United, and Delta. So definitely a good variety of angles and photos there with nice lights, so definitely thought that I would share those, and that was definitely cool to see those too. With this being said, even though it's the end of my time at Tulsa International Airport, of course I'm still going to be supporting the airport in many ways, and I do have 3 tickets to come home, as I do have my next internship, which I'm super excited to discuss, at the Charlotte Dulles International Airport. Definitely was never on my bingo card to be going to CLT for an internship, but that's exactly what will be happening for terminal operations this summer. We'll get a better analysis of that in that upcoming video. So but yeah, it's going to be great to support TUL. It's just crazy to think about the opportunity ahead at CLT. I appreciate the community there being so welcoming, as I announced that the other day. So thank you all so much for all your support, and I'm so excited for what's to come. But with that being said, of course, we're still going to be supporting Tulsa International Airport and Riverside through plane spotting, supporting the vendors in the terminal, and other such ways that help support the economic growth. We also will be marketing the airport like this on social media and throughout the community. It's a great place with 23 nonstop destinations. So it's definitely quite an exciting time here at the airport. All that being said, thank you so much once again to Tulsa Airport Improvement Trust for giving me this opportunity. My greatest appreciation, gratitude, and thankfulness cannot be expressed enough. And this has been such an irreplaceable experience that I'll always look back on. So certainly very fortunate for this opportunity to intern at my home airport, and it certainly continues to navigate the landscape. So I really hope all of you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them below. Again, this was a really great opportunity, and I do recommend this if you are studying aviation or a related field that you'd like to see what the operation's all about. It's a very fair compensated internship, and definitely stay on the lookout for listings. They'll be posting those, I'm sure, here in the near future. So just stay tuned on Tulsa Airport's website. They have the career tab, and that's where it's posted. So yeah, it's exciting to think about the future of what's going to be happening at TUL, and it's certainly an ever-growing airport. So I definitely recommend it if you're interested in learning about airport operations. It's great to cover the full scope. That said, I hope all of you enjoyed this video very much. We'll talk more about the future to come, but this was once again, an incredible opportunity. And thank you so much to Tate for making this a reality. And I'm so glad that I was able to see what it's all about. You all know how much I love this airport, so I'm so excited for what's to come for it, and it was such a great opportunity. That said, that'll do it for today's video, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. Take it easy, everybody. Stay safe. Trust process. Do you love you do. My name's CM Aviation. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all soon as CM Aviation is signing off.